Hello everyone, my name is Marta Victoria and I will be presenting on the challenges and strategies for establishing a rooftop photovoltaic system crowdsourced by students and employees at the university, and this is Aarhus University in our case. So let's get started. Solar photovoltaic is getting really low price, so it's one of the most inexpensive ways of producing electricity. But although it will be good to establish a rooftop installations, we know that the students at our university cannot be part of the energy transition because they don't own a house and hence don't own a rooftop, or they don't have large savings in the bank. So we thought, and then at the same time, the European legislation promotes the use of energy communities as a strategy to enable the participation of citizens in the energy transition. So we thought that it would be cool to try to crowdsource a PV system at the university and help the university reduce its CO2 emissions. We thought the idea was very cool and that it was going to be welcomed by all the different people or stakeholders involved, and we were just going to have a easy walk through the forest. But it ended being more similar to climbing a really steep mountain in which we had to discuss with many different stakeholders. And this is why we thought it is worth sharing our learnings. And I would also like to mention that this project is done in parallel in 5 other countries and other technical universities. So the idea was trying to try this concept of energy communities and implement that in reality in different European countries. And this is done in the framework of the Aurora project, which is a European funded project. The project is not funding at all any part of the installations, but only people, let's say, to make it happen. As a short summary, our energy community at Aarhus University in Denmark includes 120 participants. We crowdsource around 100,000 euros and we install a 98 kilowatts rooftop PV installation, and all our legal status and learnings are publicly available at our webpage www.uef.dk. And the way it works is that every participant can buy 1 or more shares on the first year, and then he or she gets paid back every year. And this pay is coming out of the electricity that the community is selling to the university. So let's start discussing the different challenges and what was our strategy to face them. The first one is who belongs to the energy community. Our initial idea was that the university was a member of the energy community, but then we face a challenge that is related to the fact that most universities are public institutions which are subject to legislation that prevents them from getting involved in economic activities that are different from teaching and research. So we had to create an independent organization, what we call the solar cooperative or the energy community, that supplies electricity to the university. So now we have 2 different entities. And this is allowed in Danish legislation by a figure known as self-consumption via third party. So the university is doing self-consumption because the solar PV system is on their rooftops, regardless of the fact that the owner of the PV system is the solar cooperative. The second challenge has to do with the rules for share owners, and these were decided in a set of different public meetings. The summary is that our energy community is divided into 900 shares, and 1 share is roughly equivalent to 109 watts. It has a value for the first year of 120 euros because we were aiming at having a very, very low value that was affordable to students. We also have a rule that said a 5% ownership as the maximum for 1 person in the community, and that in the when we take the decisions, we vote with 1 person, 1 vote. We also established a 2-step process to buy shares. So there's first a registration step with 13 euros and later the complete payment of the share. And this is very useful to dimension our installation and quantifying what was the real interest for getting this done. And all the status, as I say, are publicly available. So all this description, the legal description of these rules are available in our web. I'm showing in this figure the distribution of the number of shares per participant, and we are very happy to see that most of the participants own either 1, 2, 5 or 10 shares. So we have a really distributed ownership in our community. The third challenge was one of the most difficult ones and has to do with stakeholders management. So universities are very large institutions without clear decision chains for new ideas. We had to discuss with the university director, the lawyers, the head of the department, the head of procurement, facility management, the climate strategy responsible at the university, the company owning the university building. I will discuss more about this later. And this is undoubtedly the task that takes us much effort and a little bit of frustration. We try to face it with using many meetings to really make everyone aware of the potential benefits that these projects have for them, and trying to be very patient and taking a little bit of humor, because it's difficult to move large institutions. Then our fourth challenge has to do with establishing the electricity supply agreement, and then the idea is the university is buying cheap electricity from the solar cooperative, but the university currently has an electricity supply with a big company based on hourly market prices. But we as a cooperative, we wanted to have a long-term fixed price to reduce risk and to have a more clear business case. So after many discussions, we get to a compromise in which we sign a 2-year agreement on a fixed price that can be renewed after 2 years. The challenge number 5 has to do with the agreement on using the rooftop, and it was particularly difficult because in our case there is a third important relevant stakeholder in this process, which is the building owner, that in our university is different from the main university. So the university is renting buildings from the building owner, and our solar cooperative is using the rooftop owned by that building owner. We agreed to use their their rooftop, but that means that we had to sign an agreement with the building owner and include extra costs in the business case of the cooperative, including, among other, the insurance commitment to remove or the commitment to remove and reinstall the PV models if the rooftop needs retrofit. Then we go to challenge number 6, sizing of the installation. To do that, we had to consider the available rooftop surface, and you can see in the picture the 2 buildings in which we are installing our system. But we also try to maximize self-consumption to improve the business model, because there's more economic value on the electricity that it consumed locally and less value on the electricity that ends up being exported to the grid. We recommend getting access to historical electricity demand data, or alternatively trying to select buildings that are more than 4 floors in height, so you can assure or try to ensure that most of the electricity is going to be consumed locally. It's also extremely important, and that delays our process for a few months, to get access to the building documents for allowing the static calculation. So roughly trying to know whether adding the solar panels on the rooftop will change the static load too much, and then extra analysis is needed. And at the same time, there is a challenge that all this dimension needs to be compatible with the target for the crowdfunding, and that's why we established this 2-step process that I described previously. In our case, we end up with a 98 kilowatt installation, and we assume that 85% of the electricity will be self-consumed in the building. The 7th challenge is estimating the cost to have a robust business case. While I have to say that estimating the investment cost was relatively easy, so we took as a benchmark the cost estimation from the Danish Energy Agency database that I'm showing in this figure in green. So we can see that the value for 2024 was around less than 1.1 euros per kilowatt. So what happened is that most of the offers that we got were below that figure. We ended up, I will discuss later, not selecting the cheapest one, but the most robust one. But it was relatively easy to use, or we make a good decision using as a benchmark the Danish Energy Agency data. But then what is being more difficult is to estimate operation and management costs, because they are relatively different in this installation. So we had to include insurance to buy insurance during construction and operation. We had to take into account the cost of opening and maintaining a bank account. We had to include the cost of cooperative operations, so annual reporting to tax authority, generating invoices to sell electricity and distribute revenues among share owners, using legal consulting for setting up the cooperative, and also using engineering consulting to evaluate changes in building static load. And out of that, we end up with a business case including a 4% internal rate of return and investment recovering between 10 and 15 years. So it was challenging to take all the previous decisions, but here we go. The photo of our installation already on the rooftop in July 2024. And I would like to discuss a few of the elements of the decision that we took associated with this challenge number 8. So while I'm doing that, I'm showing here this small video where you can see the installation taking place. So the first thing that was important for us is that we managed to have a system with a static load change in the building below 5%. And this was important because this is the limit, the threshold that make us not to need a building permit that would have delay our installation probably another few months or a year. Our configuration, as you can see, is a delta east-west ballast system. We selected because it's true that we produce a slightly lower generation that is south-oriented, but the weight is lower, so that's better for the static load changes. And I think this is particularly relevant when an installation is done in a building that already exists. And we also have reduced wind load compared to the south facing. Then we selected the ballast system because it was the most proven. So as I was saying before, this was not the cheapest configuration, but the configuration that the committee within the solar cooperative evaluated to be the most robust one. The system installed uses 2 rooftops, so about 49 kilowatt in each of them, and a 40 kilowatt inverter. And in one of them, we're using monofacial silicon solar cells, and in the other one, we're using bifacial silicon solar cells from 2 different manufacturers. So that's also nice that we'll be evaluating the performance of these 2 similar in size but different technology systems under the same weather conditions. Then a few pictures of our opening party with some of the members of the cooperative, and you can also see in the figure the area of a 500 watt solar panel that represents 1 share. So this is 1 share out of the 900 shares in which the community is distributed. And then I would say that one challenge that we have ahead of us is managing the operation of the cooperative in the long term, right? So we have several recurring tasks, such invoicing the generated electricity to the university, distributing revenues among share owners, and solving any problem that might arise. And I think this is for us the long-term challenge. And finally, I would like to discuss a last challenge that has to do on how to replicate this. We have tried, as I've been presenting during today, we have tried to make all our learnings available. And actually, this video is a way of trying to present all that we have learned in a way that can be reach others. So we have always said that we would like to become a flagship to show that things can be done in a different way and hopefully inspire others to replicate this. But we have also realized that if we want energy communities to play a role in the energy transition, we need dedicated public employees or dedicated people to make this happen. I think one of the key reasons why this project has been a success is because through the Aurora project we have been able to hire a person that has been pushing for this to make it happen. And there's a lot of knowledge and stakeholder management and discussion with many partners that needs to take place. So we will really recommend a body of employees making energy communities a reality. And with this, I would like to acknowledge, first and foremost, all the members of the cooperative. for engaging into this idea, and in particular the members of the board of the cooperative, who are now taking care who have taken care of making this happen and will take care of its durability in the long term. And of course the European funding that kickstarted it and make it possible. Thank you very much for your attention.